Welcome to 9394, a music podcast with Travis Roy. Thank you for joining me. Shawn McGhee is back on the show for the third time, which means that he's coloring outside the lines of 9394 strictly and getting into an album that was released in late 1992, Peter Gabriel's Us. I have been so spoiled on this podcast lately, I gotta say. It is ridiculous. I have been getting the opportunity to talk about some of the most important albums of my life with some really good friends, and I got to do that again with Shawn here. We talked quite a bit about Peter Gabriel when he was on last time, talking about Sting's 10 Summoners Tales, and we really couldn't wait to get together to talk again about this album that we just both love so much. So here's me and Shawn gushing for like an hour about Peter Gabriel's Us. Hey.
How are you, man?
What's up, buddy?
Doing well.
Good to see you.
Doing well, man. Cheers.
Cheers. You have your electric Smurf?
Got it. No pineapple juice today.
Okay, well, a show staple all the same. I was able to find Cold Snap from Sam Adams.
You're a lucky character, man.
Well, I'm not that lucky. I haven't really been able to find it for the last few years. I feel like it seems like I can never find it. I found one 6-pack left, and they got some label on there that says, we've changed the recipe or some shit. I'm like, oh, come on. It still tastes good.
Well, Travis, if I gained nothing out of our friendship, at least you turned me on to Cold Snap.
And hopefully some other stuff somewhere along the line.
Oh, man, I appreciate that. But, yeah, it's hard to find.
Seduced by the noise and the bright things that glisten, I knew all the time I should shut up and listen. And I'm finding my way home from the great escape. The further on I go, oh, the less I know I can find. Only us breathing, only us sleeping, only us dreaming, only us. I hear you calling me.
So here we are. I'm ready to talk about this record.
Dude, when you were on last time, we very nearly hijacked the Sting episode and turned it into a Peter Gabriel episode.
That was great fun too, by the way.
Yeah, it's always good to have you on, man. I'm glad you came back to do this.
Hell yeah.
So you've been on the show a few times, and this is your third visit now, so you're getting outside of the true 93-94. Tell us which album we're doing today.
We are doing the outstanding, incredible soundscape that is Peter Gabriel's 1992 release, his sequel to So, and an album that he made right around the same time or right after the soundtrack for The Passion of the Christ, which is also amazing. Peter Gabriel's Us.
His most commercially successful album, apparently, and it was released in September of 92, so it was very much something that we were absorbing in 93, 94. Now, I always start the show, talking about like how we know each other. I have a different thing I want to do this time since we've already had that conversation.
Okay.
Have you been listening to his newest album, I.O.?
So I listened to the first couple, what are they, Full Moons?
Yeah, the singles were released on the New Moons, but now the whole album's been out for months.
Yeah, so I have not taken in the entire album.
Oh, fuck.
So I've got some really close friends that are serious Peter Gabriel fans, and they're not big fans of it.
Oh, dude, no. I think it's the best thing he's released since Us.
Yeah, well, so what I wanted to do, I listened to those first few singles, and I thought they were outstanding, but I wanted to listen to the record.
Yeah, that's what I did.
I remember years ago, I think that it was Neil Young when I was young reading one of those guitar player magazines. And like we were just in that moment where like CDs were fundamentally replacing cassettes.
Mm-hmm.
And like Neil Young, I'm pretty sure it was Neil Young, like he was angry about the CD. And I didn't get it when I was a kid. He was angry because he said artists put together albums that have a beginning and a middle and an end.
Mm-hmm.
So in other words, if you don't have to change the cassette side or the world that he lived in, if you don't have to change the side of the record, you lose the show, right? The show opens, the show closes for an intermission, and then the second part of the show opens, and then the show closes.
Yeah.
And CD sort of erased all that. And I didn't really get that until I really became an artist in my own right. You want to start with a message, with a mood. You want to like crescendo. You want to take the listener on a journey.
Right.
And nowadays, like, my God, I bet Neil Young misses the CD, right?
I bet he does.
Now there's no journey, right?
Right. At least people were listening to albums with CD, the full album.
Yeah, right. And so when these Gabriel songs came out, believe me, man, I saw Gabriel in like 2001 when he came around for Up.
Mm-hmm.
I've been waiting for 2 decades for more new material to come out.
Yeah, we all have.
I've been a bad fan. I need to get that record and listen to it in its entirety the way that Neil Young would want me to listen to it.
Well, I did the same thing. He released a single every month for like 12 months, and I didn't listen to a single one of them because I'm like, I'm going to wait till the fucking whole album is out. That's how I do things. Obviously, I've got a podcast focused on albums. I'm an album guy. But I will say, I think that it is some of the best work he's done. It feels like early Peter Gabriel in a way, but also very updated. And it also kind of reminds me of like the end of the Leonard Cohen career and like the end of the Bowie career when they're really singing about stuff where it's just like you're hearing it from an old man who's like seen it all and he's just like trying to get his message out there before he goes. The content is outstanding as far as the lyrics are concerned. And I love the music. I mean, it's an incredible album.
Yeah, I definitely, after this podcast, I'm going to put it on. I'm definitely going to put it on. I'm ashamed of myself that I haven't, I was so excited about Up. Right. And when that album came out, I wasn't even married at the time. Jackie and I, my future wife, we drove to a music store. Remember those things?
I do. And
we bought the CD and we got in my car. Are you familiar with Up?
Yeah, of course.
Man, that first track, Darkness.
Oh.
We put it on and all you hear is that percussion, that was sort of like a digital percussion. And I kept turning my radio up. I was like, there must be something wrong with these CDs. And then that scream came in and oh my God, that album is incredible. It is incredible.
I think the new album blows Up out of the water, to be honest with you.
Oh, okay. I've got to check it out.
But, strokes and folks. But for me, Us is the premier, the best, top of the line Peter Gabriel album. I mean, I love Melt and I love Car, but this is the album for me. Do you remember how you got into this album?
I do, man. And this is a great story. So I got in a little late, right? When I was growing up in the 80s, So was a big record.
Right.
But even before, like So, I think was 86. Even before So, what was the one before that? Is that with the Rhythm of the Heat? What is that one called? Security.
Yeah.
Like Shock the Monkey was always on MTV. Games Without Frontiers was always on the radio. That song used to scare the hell out of me when I was when you were a kid driving in the backseat of the car, like naming all these kids' names and they're doing terrible things. And then the video Shock the Monkeys, like the monkeys being tortured. It's just the strangest stuff. And then when I became a guitar player and then a musician, because the two are different, right?
Yeah.
Most people play guitar because they think it's acrobatics. But when you are a musician, no matter what instrument you play, you do a whole lot more listening than you do playing, right?
Sure, yeah, for a good one.
And I was a guitar player, right? I was a guitar player for years. It took me years to become a musician. And so I'm getting to a point here. My apologies for taking a long way to get there.
You never.
So I come from that, like what really got me rolling was like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, riff-based stuff, big with the guitar. I knew what the guitar did. I knew what it did. And that's the type of music that I played. Those are the bands that I was in. We tried to make riff-oriented music and it was fun. Years later, long after this Gabriel record came out, I was filling in on bass for a local band called Big Dog Lovin'.
Okay. That's a name.
Oh, it was great. Great sax player, Tom Long on the band, excellent guitar player, good friend of mine, Mike Patriarca, and a guy that I went to high school with, but he was a little older than me. His name was Dave Duffin, but he's like this 6'5" redhead dude, pale as anything. We used to call him Red Rudiments because he was the drummer. And he turned me on to this record. He insisted that I listen to it. I don't know if he thought that, like, I'm a guitar player, but I'm like not a bass player. I don't know if he thought I was going to become Tony Levin, but it wasn't meant to be. But I took the record home and I was like, I'm not going to listen to this shit. And one day I put it on. I was in this apartment, I was living with this girl, and I put this thing on, and it fundamentally altered my approach to not only the guitar, but to listening and to writing music. It was like, press the pause button, because I have been at the kiddie table at Thanksgiving for a long time. Now I'm being invited to the adult table. This is what's going on.
Nice.
That's how fundamentally transformative this record was for me.
Beautiful. I had a different experience. I got into it when it came out.
Lucky.
I was 12 when it came out, and the first single that was released from this album, as far as I know, was Digging in the Dirt. And Peter Gabriel, extremely visual artist, the inside pictures for the album for us, all the videos that he's done over time, like he's an extremely visual musician. And the video for Digging in the Dirt is incredible. Do you remember it?
Yeah, dude, with the face.
What I remember most about it is like animals and plants and stuff, like vegetation, like decaying and coming back and all that kind of stuff. It was very earthy, but like kitschy. I don't know. It was a weird video. But the song really, really grabbed me, the idea of like, this time you've gone too far, and like, it's not like somebody's like taking someone hostage behind like the wheel, I guess to go to their therapist or something with the sound of things. But it's just like, at 12 years old, I was really just starting to really experiment with darkness, and like really getting into like dark shit, and anything that remotely felt dark to me, I was all over. And this album isn't that dark, but that song is.
This time you've gone too far. I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you. This time you've gone too far. This time you've gone too far. This time you've gone too far. I told you, I told you, I told you, I told you. Don't talk back. Just drive the car.
And so that's what kind of got me into it in the first place. And I was already familiar with Peter Gabriel. I know that in the house I had, I don't know if it was mine or my parents, but the 16 Golden Greats, Shaking the Tree, that compilation, that was in the house. And so like I was familiar with them, but I wasn't into them. But then when I heard that song, I was like, I got to get this album. And I've been listening to it routinely for most of my life now. It's one of those albums that for me feels like it is fundamentally part of me. I remember getting into it, but it feels like it's always been part of my life. And I'm really excited to talk about it because it's one of the few albums I've had a chance to do on this show, like Counting Crows, August and Everything After, and Dinosaur Jr.'s Where You Been, where it's just like, if I was making a list of top 5 or top 10 albums, this would easily be on it. Life-changing, foundational album for me.
Yeah, I agree with that. This changed everything for me. It was one of those moments where I realized the power of lyrics. Mm-hmm. Right, the power of what is being said. And not only that, but the emotional power of just the sound of a voice in distress, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's one of those parts, I think it's the Blood of Eden, in the middle of that bridge where he just yells, hey. And it's like, oh my God, like that is the most beautiful thing that I've ever heard in my life, right? He's saying so much without even saying a real word, you know?
He's got so much rawness in his voice on this album, and generally, but especially I feel like the production value is great here. What's his name? Daniel Lanois, I want to say, was behind it. Clearly a guy who knows what he's doing, and they worked really well together. I feel like everything that Gabriel is doing here is just so crisp, but you're right. The lyrics, I mean, the songwriting, the vocal stylings, everything's great, but the lyrics is just, they tear your heart out. These are really sincere, vulnerable lyrics in this album.
Yeah, so he's going through his divorce.
From Rosanna Arquette, apparently, which I learned from reading the Wikipedia article today. I had no idea, but of all fucking people, some of these songs about Rosanna Arquette.
And like that Come Talk to Me is about losing his relationship with his daughter with Arquette. There's like real power. These are real basic human themes that are being done by a master musician and a philosopher, right?
Yeah, and it has a kind of middle-aged feel to it, almost. Like he was probably about our age or maybe a tick older when he did it. And it feels very like someone that's in the middle of life where they figured some things out but are still struggling in a lot of ways. I don't know. It feels like, and maybe it's because I've spent so much time with it, but it feels like a really lived-in album.
He's not bullshitting any lyrics.
No.
Like he means every word. And I bet he had to leave a lot of brilliant stuff on the cutting room floor. He had so much to say at that moment in his life.
Yeah. So I struggled, I imagine you struggled to find your favorite song. Well, I kind of struggled. What did you decide was your favorite song of this album?
I've been wrestling with this.
Yeah.
I've been wrestling with this. And there are 3 possible answers.
2 for me. I wonder if you have the same ones in mind.
I'll lay them out. Tracks 2, 3, and the final one, right? Love to Be Loved, Blood of Eden, and Secret World.
Okay. So let's start with Love to Be Loved, because that was the other one that I was considering. Tell me why it's one of your favorites.
So the melody line, that is incredible during the verse. The groove for that song is so slick and so modern.
Yeah, sexy in the beginning.
Oh my God, yes. And the drums on that, I mean, Manu Katché is the drummer on that record, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he is French, I think, but he's like a world musician. That album is so worldly.
Oh, yeah.
Not like 4 guys in a garage making rock music, right? They're bagpipes that open the record, right?
Yeah, he is pulling from like every genre of music on the earth for this album.
And every corner of the earth, too, man.
Yeah, yeah. Again, it's the lyrical content of Love to Be Loved that really grabs me, because from a 12-year-old to in my mid-40s now, I don't like to admit it, but I understand that, you know, like this desire to be loved, this desire to be needed, whether you're given back or not. You know, it's such an honest song. It's like, it's embarrassing almost in a way. And when he gets to that bridge at the end, when he's like, this old familiar craving. We've been here before. This way of behaving. Let it go. Let it pass. Let it leave. From the deepest place I grieve. You know. And then when he talks about like, I recognize how much I've lost, but I cannot face the cost. I mean, right now, just thinking about it, and I've heard it a million times. I got goosebumps all over my fucking arms. It's one of my favorite moments in any song, in any album ever. It just fucking breaks my heart. I love it so much.
This old familiar craving, I've been here before, this way of behaving. Don't know who the hell I'm saving anymore. Let it pass, let it go, let it leave. From the deepest place I grieve. This time I believe. And I let go. And I let go. I can't let go of it. Though it takes all the strength in me, and all the world can see, I'm losing such a central part of me. I can't let go of it. You know I mean it. You know that I mean it. I recognize how much I've lost, but I cannot face the cost, 'cause I love to be loved. Yes, I love to be loved. I love to be loved. Yes, I love to be loved.
In this emptiness, I feel I need to be needed.
Mm-hmm.
So good. It's so fantastic. And again, that bass groove and that drum line, it's so remarkable that he fills so much space, but there's still so much emptiness, if that makes any sense.
It does. And again, the production value helps, I think, that in capturing that.
Yeah, so that song captures a mood. That's a song that I envision like driving very fast in the dark, right? That groove comes on, you're by yourself, you're being self-reflective, you have a moment to yourself.
Yeah.
It's an honest assessment of, even someone's as successful as Gabriel, like those moments of vulnerability, those moments where you don't feel love, those moments where you don't feel needed. It's like, whether we want to admit it or not, right? It's a fundamental human community. You want to be needed by people.
Right. And that's why it was relatable then and it's relatable now. But at the same time, it's also just like a level of intimacy with an artist that we don't always get. And all art is intimate, don't get me wrong, but there's just something, he's revealing this kind of craven and embarrassing side to himself that we all recognize and making it fit into a beautiful song. It's just awesome. I love it.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, for me, the other one I was considering, which I guess I'll make that my favorite, my number one, since we just got to talk about Love to Be Loved, is the first track on the album. It's Come Talk to Me. Again, like you talked about the bagpipes bringing us in and just those fucking drums. And again, like there's so much happening on this track, but it's the lyrics. Again, it's just like this beseeching someone you love to just break down their barriers and Like, come back to me. Like, we had this relationship. Like, just please, like, all we gotta do is just fucking, to get there again, is just fucking talk to each other. And it's so, like, relentless, but it's also so poetic with Reptile Tongue, the lightning lashes, towers built to last. Like, it's so mystical in a lot of ways, you know, but it's also so personal.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
It really is. And it's a song that drives.
Oh, please talk to me. Won't you please talk to me? We can unlock this misery. Come on, come talk to me. I did not come to steal this sorcery. Can't you show me how you feel now? Come on, come talk to me. Come talk to me. Come talk to me.
I can only relate this to that moment in time when I first heard it. It is a song that it's not something that you would say rocks, but it doesn't need.
No.
It's a powerful, relentless, worldly trip through the desert.
Yeah.
With some Scottish guy behind you and you know, playing drums. Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. In Philadelphia, I don't think you ever made it out there with us, but we used to go, our cohort in grad school used to go to the Nut Hut every now and then, the kind of dive bar that had an amazing karaoke setup. You know, nowadays you can kind of get anything you want, but it seemed unique at the time because he had like pretty obscure stuff. And I remember doing Come Talk to Me on karaoke, pretty
Nice.
drunk, and just feeling like this is the highlight of my life. Here I am at the top of the world in the Nut Hut in Philadelphia dive bar, but just like always wanted to just fucking belt out that song, you know, and I never was in a band that would cover Peter Gabriel. None of my friends were really ever into Peter Gabriel, you know, so it was just like, I don't know, it meant a lot to me to be able to just fucking get up there and get that one out of me.
Yeah, we used to play Mercy Street, Red Rain, and In Your Eyes.
Wow.
And from that Us record, we used to do Come Talk to Me, Digging in the Dirt,
Wow. I'm jealous.
and Steam.
Wow.
Yeah, we tried doing that Blood of Eden a few times, but we never had a consistent female backing vocalist, and a male doing the falsetto just didn't hit right. And also, it's freaking Sinead O'Connor doing it, so.
Yeah, which I didn't know until recently. I don't know why. I never read the insides of fucking albums. I swear to God. Sinead O'Connor's been a big part of my life for years, and I didn't know it.
I caught sight of my reflection. I caught it in the window. I saw the darkness in my heart. I saw the signs of my undoing. They had been there from the start. And the darkness still has work to do. The knotted cords untying, the heated and the holy, oh, they're sitting there on high, so secure with everything they're buying. In the blood of Eden lie the woman and the man and the woman, and the woman and the man. In the blood of Eden lie the woman and the man. We wanted the union. Oh, the union of the woman and the man.
That is him doing a lot of the falsetto on Blood of Eden, right? I mean, you know, he's doing like that kind of.
That's him. That's
Right.
that chorus is what I'm getting at. That
Oh,
chorus. Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I was thinking about how hard that would be to sing that one live. To try, like, I'm like, I could karaoke Come Talk to Me. I couldn't karaoke Blood of Eden.
I cannot get insurance anymore. They don't take credit, only gold.
again, we tried that a few times. We just didn't have the right personnel. But I had a remarkable guitar player in this band Echo Face that I was in. David Rhodes, David Rhodes and Dominic Miller, that thing you used to play with. Those guys, again, it opened my eyes to a new way to approach the instrument. Like, rather than riffs or power chords, right? I'm going back 30 years, of course.
Sure.
But just creating soundscapes, right? Making layers, sounds, noises, right? Rather than just having to fill up every space. Just fill up some space sometimes and fill up nothing. I mean, the one that you brought up a moment ago, that digging in the dirt, in virtually any other guitar player's hand, there would have been a big riff in there. Right?
Yeah.
This time you've gone too far.
Instead, it's just kind of holding down everything.
Yeah, just hitting the note. Just hitting that. What I forget. I think that's in E, or it might be E flat. I forget what it's in, but
I don't know.
Yeah. But Blood of Eden, beautiful lyrics, beautiful bridge, incredible harmonies, and outstanding performance by Sinead O'Connor. And my God, David Rhodes killing it as usual. Manu Katché killing it. We haven't even spoken about that bass player, Tony Levin. Good Lord.
Oh, yeah.
There's a guy that plays bass lines that mean something that don't take up a whole lot of space.
Yeah, they really grab your attention, but he always is restrained. He's not trying to get too wacky with it. He's just trying to, make good music without distracting the listener.
Yeah, I think the wildest I've ever heard a bass line of his is that bridge right before the final chorus in Red Rain. He doesn't let loose, but it's like the most, it's the flashiest that he's ever got. Again, it's not even fair to call it flashy. It's just for him. He's like, wow, he put something in there for a moment. Good for him,
Yeah, and Gabriel's pretty much worked with most of the same guys, right, for most of his career. It's not like the Peter Gabriel band, but it might as well be.
Yeah, I mean, he moves through drummers more than I'd like.
I've noticed that.
The Maché stuff was, you should have just stayed there, Peter.
Yeah. So what about an underrated track on this album?
So it's got to be Washing of the Water.
Yeah? It's a beautiful song.
River, river, carry me on. Living river, carry me on. River, river, carry me on to the place where I come from. So deep, so wide. Will you take me on your back for a ride? If I should fall, would you swallow me deep inside?
Beautiful song. And that's a song that has particular significance in my marital life.
Oh.
That song is about loss and personal relationships and becoming close and losing. And my wife, she lost her mom pretty shortly after we got married. And that has always been her song.
Oh.
And when she got pregnant and we couldn't come up with a name, she was listening to that album over and over and over again. And particularly that song.
Oh, really?
And that's where my oldest boy's name is River. And
it's from this song?
From this song, man.
You never told me that. That's amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's a true story too, man. She broke down and was like, "I have a name, but you're not gonna like it. It's from the Peter Gabriel song." And I was like, "What is it?" She's like, "I want to name him River."
Going away toward the sea.
River, oh river, river running deep.
Yeah. And when she was pregnant, she used to sing the song to him. When he was an infant, she used to rock him and sing the song to him.
That's beautiful.
Yeah, there it is. So that song, it's not a hit,
No, but it's so lovely. It fits so smoothly into the album. It's probably, isn't it the end of side one, I think, perhaps?
Neil Young's gonna hate me, but I never had the cassette. I had the CD.
It's either the last song on the first side or the first song on the last side. I think it was the last song on the first side, but it could be if he was playing stuff live, it could be a great showstopper, a great end of the act kind of thing. But you're right, it's also a really subdued song.
I think he played that when I saw them live too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what a remarkable song. Beautiful, again, these very visceral, timeless themes.
Yeah. I had to go for my underrated, and I went with one that was underrated to me, because this is a tough one to choose an underrated song from, because I love every single song on here, some more than others, but some I've kind of I don't think I gave Secret World quite its due until recently. And, well, I mean, I've listened to it a goddamn million times, but still, like, for whatever reason, the last couple months listening to this album, getting ready for this episode, that's been the one that's kind of been stuck in my head the most.
I stood in this unsheltered place till I could see the face behind the face. All that I've gone before left no trace. Down by the ruined side in a secret world we were colliding. All the places we were hiding, love. What was it we were thinking of?
But Secret World is such a classy and beautiful way to end the album, and it's just like, I think it sums up a lot of the themes of the album in a lot of ways too, about the importance of intimate relationships and maintaining those relationships and how secluded they can be in their own way, and for better or for worse. And again, like, the lyrical content is just so spot on, but it's also just a goddamn pretty song. I really love that song.
Yeah, that third verse, you know, again, I've been like doubling down and tripling down on this idea that there are these universal themes on that record.
Mm-hmm.
Add to the universality of it, like the biblical element, right?
Yes.
That Adam and Eve line, you know, what is that? In this world of make-believe, divided into two, like Adam
and Eve, yeah.
Put out and I receive. Oh my goodness, man.
Yeah. Which he brings that kind of stuff back in with I.O., which some of the same themes are, I mean, specifically the song I.O. from that album. But yeah, it is, he's got stuff that he wants to talk about. And that's when I think he's at his strongest. You get into stuff like Steam, and I don't dislike Steam. I groove to Steam. But it's the other side of Peter Gabriel, the kind of wacky, the kind of like funky, the kind of fun having. Watched the video for that today, and like, I swear to God, it's like watching fucking Lawnmower Man. Like, the quality of this CGI, it's like embarrassingly bad, but he was always like so cutting edge, you know? So for 92, whenever that video was released, it was pretty cool, but like, yeah, it's just so I like Steam quite a bit. It's not my favorite on the album, but like, it's a different vibe than the stuff that really gets me.
I feel like ever since he had that commercial success with So, we have to remember, I think when most people think of So, they think of Sledgehammer and Big Time.
Yeah.
We neglect, you know, songs like Red Rain.
That's what I think of. I think of Red Rain.
I think of Red Rain. I think of In Your Eyes. I think of, you know,
Mercy Street.
Mercy Street. And what's the other one that, isn't Paula Cole on that record? Who sings that female part on that record? Don't Give Up.
Oh, that's Kate Bush.
Kate Bush, there you go, sorry. Yeah, I feel like every single time after that, he had to put some version of Big Time.
And Steam is I mean, I always heard Sledgehammer, but yeah, it's the same kind of vibe, right?
Yeah, right. And just like that Up record has the Barry Williams joke. Right.
Yep.
It's like he never was able to shed that 1980s, like, corny Huey and Lewis in the News type thing, right? You know?
And even the new album's got one song that kind of feels like Steam a little bit.
God damn it, Peter Gabriel.
A little bit, I know. But most of the album feels kind of like the more stoic and the more, like, intimate and quieter Peter Gabriel. But Steam is definitely, like, this is him rocking. And it's always kind of like, yep, you're a boomer. You're a boomer rocking. So bearing that in mind, what is your least favorite song on this album? Do we have the same least favorite song on this album? I feel like we do.
The lowest point on this record is Kiss That Frog.
Yes, it is. But goddamn, it's a good song.
Let me introduce his frogness. You alone can get him singing. He's all puffed up, wanna be your king. Oh, you can do it. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Lady, kiss that frog.
It's about a blowjob.
No.
Yes.
What?
It's about a blowjob.
How do you know this?
I have read it in multiple sources. Multiple
Okay.
reviews
All right.
of the album.
Well, explain yourself.
I mean, Kiss That Frog, he will be your friend. Right? You might like it if you see the state I'm in, if you lower your defense.
Gross.
Yeah.
That's a fun song. Okay. The bass line, again, like, it's pretty upbeat. It's kind of like a fun song to drive to, but it's got the two cringiest moments in the album by far, which one being get wet, get wet.
Yeah.
Get wet, get wet. Like, oh, God, Peter. Fucking calm down, dude. Put it away. And yeah, so a little overtly sexual there. That didn't go by me. But by far, I can't do it. When he fucking croaks. Prince. He's riveting. Man is riveting into a microphone. He's croaking like a frog. Like, oh my God. Did no one just stop and be like, Peter, this isn't working?
It's not good. It's not good at all. You know what I always think reminds me of? And just bear with me here for the analogy. You remember that Van Halen cover of Dancing in the Streets?
Vaguely, yeah.
Okay, so if you go back and listen to Dancing in the Streets, before it gets to that awful cover, the beginning of that tune is this evil, dark, like, just Van Halen is just like not even playing guitar, he's just ripping the guitar apart, and there's driving drum beats at a minor key. It's dark as hell. You get like 3 or 4 minutes of like, where is this going? This is amazing. And then, Pretty Woman. And then Pretty Woman comes on, right?
Oh, it's Pretty Woman, okay.
It turns into Pretty Woman. You're like, oh, come on. We were going into such a good space, right? You go back and listen to Pretty Woman, I promise you'll experience that, because the beginning of it is like, holy cow, this is the darkest, heaviest stuff I've ever heard. Mm-hmm. Kiss That Frog, that beginning is in E minor. And it is so dark and eerie, and it was like, it's the perfect vehicle for Gabriel to continue that emotional journey that he was on with that album.
Yeah.
And he's like, nah, you know what? I'm going full Sledgehammer.
He really does. And the video, I can't believe it was a single. The video was not great either. And like, of all the songs from this album that choose to be a single, like, oh, man, I don't know.
Your defense. Kiss that frog. You will get your friends.
I'm a little bummed to hear it's about a blowjob, because I always thought that it was like this weird take on the story where he's like telling the story about some prince trying to convince a woman to kiss him, and he like stalks her, basically like moves in with him, like he's sleeping in her bed and all that stuff, until she finally relents and kisses him, and she turns into a frog too, and then they go and swim together. That's how I always interpreted it, which is much more interesting than a blowjob, although I'd rather have a blowjob than be turned into a frog when you get down to it.
Oh, Peter, you wily character. Look at him being edgy. Does that double down? Does that reinforce his boomer status?
It's just too much. It's just too much. I don't need that. I don't need to think about Peter Gabriel getting his willy wet. I'm good. But now we're belaboring the point, so anyone listening is forced to think about it. Sorry, people.
I wonder if that ridiculous harmonica in that song, I wonder if that's all that's going through his head at the moment.
I mean, again, like, I do like the song because it's inventive and it's all over the place, but man, it's the least good on the album. Now, growing up, it wasn't necessarily my least favorite. I wasn't that crazy about 14 Black Paytons.
Me as well. I appreciate it.
But now I like it a whole bunch. It's got John Paul Jones, or what's his name? With the bass player from Led Zeppelin. What's his name? John Paul Jones?
Paul Jones.
Yeah, he's in that song. I didn't know that either until recently, but like, you couldn't tell to listen to it, I don't think. I like that it highlights because there's a few sides to Peter Gabriel, right? And one of his sides is the revolutionary, the protester, the guy who's got like satire, social satire, and comments to make about the state of things. Like you mentioned, the Barry, what's the name?
Barry Williams show,
like that kind of stuff.
And the trashification of television. And
right. Like, he's got these comments that he makes about society in most of his albums. And that one, 14 Black Paintings, it's different than most of his, right? It's a lot more esoteric and breathy and just like not even trying to be like a full song almost, you know? It's just kind of like, here's this idea. It came to me in a dream, in a vision.
Definitely not designed to be a single, right? It's beautiful, though, right?
But it's beautiful. Yeah, I agree. And I love the name. It's a cool name.
It's short, it's moody, and I think, doesn't that lead us into Kiss That Frog, though? Yeah, it does.
An abrupt shift. And that's one of my few complaints about the album, is the shift from 14 Black Paintings to Kiss That Frog, the shift from Blood of Eden into Steam. Like, these are abrupt shifts. And they're not my favorite songs on the album. I mean, they're good, but they're not my favorite. And so, like, to be in this kind of like creative, thoughtful, ponderous place, and then you're just shifting gears into something kind of goofy. But that's part of Peter Gabriel, man. Like, this is the dude that used to dress up like a fox in a dress and shit. He's just a fucking goofball sometimes, and I gotta roll with that.
Man, it's great record.
Yeah.
Did you ever get into that soundtrack to Passion of the Christ? Oh no, I'm sorry. What was that movie called? The one with Willem Dafoe as Jesus, not the Passion of the Christ.
Last Temptation of Christ.
Last Temptation of Christ. There you go. Okay, I'm sorry.
No. I've checked out the Birdie soundtrack, but never got into the Last Temptation soundtrack.
Have you seen that movie?
Birdie?
No, Last Temptation.
Yeah, I've seen both. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that soundtrack is remarkable. It's like 14 Black Paintings and Blood of Eden and Love to Be Loaned with no dramatic shifts in mood, without lyrics. I mean, he does like vocalization, like there's sounds on there, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Just soundscape, very dark and very sparse soundscape, and sometimes he just uses his voice as an instrument. It's fantastic.
And that's his power, man. He knows where to pull from whatever, be it a bagpipe or a harmonica or his own voice or a guitar. He's just a incredibly innovative musician that has given us decades of some of the finest music out there. And I still feel like he's not given the respect that he's due. Everyone knows who he is. We haven't even mentioned Genesis, but I feel like maybe it's just among my friends group and the people I talk to and those kind of things. Like, I'm part of like this alternative group on Facebook, and like we break down like the best albums of every year, blah blah blah.
Okay.
Out of like 500 people, and I was the only person. We did the year 1992, and I was the only person that picked us as the best album of the year. I'm like, of course, that's my favorite album of that year. And fucking people were like making fun of me for it and shit. I'm like, what? You're like, it's not alternative enough. I don't even know what. Just I'm like these grown men like acting. I don't know. It's very silly. But it just seems like in my life, you're one of the few people I can think of to share the same level of excitement that I have for this album, which to me is bizarre.
We have to remember, right? Like this, and you've been doing this podcast on these albums that came out. Like, there's just a remarkable amount of diversity that we're
Yeah.
dealing with, right?
Yeah.
Like, all of those, Seattle records are coming out, right? All those hair bands are being knocked off by like these people who are really in touch with like human feeling, but they're expressing it through metal, right?
Shit, that's a good point. I mean, 92, you got Nirvana being big, Guns N' Roses are big.
Right. Yeah. And you're seeing like those at that Man in the Box video, that Outshine videos on MTV, and then Peter Gabriel's face on a train singing Steam. So good for him, man. Like another thing that I appreciate about Gabriel as an artist is that dude doesn't just release albums for money grabs, right?
Clearly. Yeah. No.
Like there's almost 10 years between us and Up, right?
Right.
What is that? That's a lifetime in commercialized music. 6 years between the success of So and Us.
I mean, how long between Up and IO? Like 22 years, right?
23 years or something, right?
Right. He did a covers album and he did like some compilations albums and like an orchestral arrangement, but he hasn't had like a true studio album in over 2 decades.
And I like that. I mean, like he will release a record when he has something to say. So something like Sting, man, my boy Sting. I used to look forward to those records. And then it became like every couple years there was a record, and every record had fewer and fewer and fewer songs that I wanted to listen to on purpose. And then suddenly Shaggy's on a record.
Oh, God.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So like
Shaggy's not showing up on a Peter Gabriel record. I just don't see that.
No,
happening.
Peter Gabriel has kept his dignity. He still might include the occasional Sledgehammer ripoff, but
mostly dignified Peter Gabriel, but also just goofy and avant-garde enough to not give a fuck what anyone thinks about him, which I've always loved.
And that's really cool. I mean, he's releasing like Steam and Digging in the Dirt and Blood of Eden when like Chris Cornell is screaming his lungs off about suicide with like the drudge of like Kim Thayil playing behind it. It's like the kids, and I was a kid then. You're getting excited about that stuff, but that Gabriel record, man, holy cow, that is a mature man at the height of his powers.
Yeah, it's almost weird to me that as a 12-year-old, I got as into this album as I did, but I'm glad I did because, man, I'd never let go of it, and I never will. It's one of those all-time albums for me.
So when I was growing up, one of my friend's older sisters, this guy, his name was James Paul Patrick Jimmy Dugan III.
Oh, okay. It's brief.
We just called him Dugan. He had an older sister named Allison, and she was totally into In Excess and Peter Gabriel, and also a band called Big Country. Remember those guys?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah.
So those records were always on in his house. And that song, Mercy Street, always stuck with me. I was probably like 11 or 12, maybe 10 or 11, it was right around there. And I didn't know the guy's name. And I didn't know that it was the same guy that sang In Your Eyes, because I could have found that out very easily. Yeah. And so the song Mercy Street like disappeared from my life for a very long time. And I missed it. And when my friend Red Rudiments got me into that Us record, I went back and I bought So, and then I bought Security. I went all the way back, and then I found Mercy Street again. And I was like, oh, not only did I find this song again, but it's the same artist. This guy's a genius, He
is. You've already mentioned that you saw him live on the Up tour, and we talked on the Sting episode that you did at great length about us seeing the two of them together.
Oh, yeah.
So anybody listening that wants to hear us discuss that, we already did it on another album. So have you seen him just those 2 times? I mean,
that's it.
It's 1 time more than me, but I really wanted to see him on the IO tour, man, but it was just too fucking expensive. It was like the album wasn't even out yet, which that's never like, why, like tour after the album's out. So people have heard it, but whatever. I was going to go anyways, but I just could not. I was between jobs at that point. I'm like, I can't drop fucking almost $200 on a concert ticket right now. I just can't do it. And I will always regret it because I have a feeling that he might not tour again. I wouldn't be surprised. This could be it. I wouldn't be surprised.
Well, let's make an agreement. If he comes around again, we're going. We'll meet at a centralized place.
Cheers to that. I'm down for that.
All right. We will go. We'll make sure it happens.
Being that we saw him together in Camden, New Jersey, and didn't know that we were seeing him together since we were both there, but didn't talk about it until years after the fact. It would be good to see him with you.
And I think I said this on the last podcast. I'm still angry that they decided to play that Bill Withers tune. Nothing against Bill Withers. 2 artists with some of the deepest catalogs in popular music. And they were like, you know what? We need a cover.
And the only song he played from this album was Steam. It's like, come on, man. That's the only song you're going to play from this album? I was a little bummed about that. I mean, I got no complaints. It's one of the best shows of my life, hands down. But if I had my druthers, come talk to me or Love to Be Loved would have been real nice.
Did you hear anything about that Sting Billy Joel concert?
No. What's Sting Billy Joel's concert?
They're doing the same thing. It's Sting and Billy Joel touring together.
Oh, they are?
Yeah, just like the Gabriel stuff.
It must have been Sting's idea, maybe, or at least he liked it enough to run with it again. I would love to go to that. I would love to see. I mean, Billy Joel's newest single is really fucking good. I'm excited that there could be maybe a new album in the works because it's some of the best stuff he's put out in a while.
I've never been a Billy Joel fan.
Oh, I love him. I love him. Yeah.
That stuff screams boomer to me.
Well, yeah, but that was also something I was listening to like when I was 7, because like my boomer parents listened to him, it wasn't cool, but I came back to it. And Peter Gabriel is one of those that I probably should have left and come back to like I did with Steely Dan or Billy Joel or even David Bowie. But I just never, ever got sick of Peter Gabriel, especially this album. My whole fucking life. I've been listening to it regularly lately, and it's like not really that different than ordinary. Maybe a few more rotations a week than I ordinarily would do. But this is one that my whole life, I'll just fucking listen to it all the time.
Yeah, I've been putting this on lately too. I have not been a good music fan lately. Like I've just been so tied up with, the kids, the household, my research, my work.
Yeah.
And when I get in my car, man, like I don't want to put anything on. It's the only time in my day where I don't hear any sound.
Oh yeah, especially driving home from work, from teaching.
Yeah.
I'll drive home in silence pretty often from work because I'm finally somewhere quiet.
Yeah, man. Like I normally put music on like Fridays or Saturdays. I'll put it on when I'm like in the kitchen cooking or drinking beer or whatever. Like,
yeah.
Sadly, and I hope to correct this in the future, it doesn't play the role in my life that it once did. I mean, I dedicated so much time and energy, right? And so much of my being to listening and learning and becoming better and writing and performing and recording. And I spent so much time doing it that my brain and my interests are just elsewhere. And then I've been playing a lot of classical guitar lately. But even that, like, I'm not giving my full focus to it. It's like it's like most things in my life. When I have the time, I don't have the energy. And when I have the energy, I don't have the time. That's where most of us are right now.
Well, yeah, especially in academia. It's one of the reasons I left it. I was sick of always feeling guilty about my time because either I felt guilty that I wasn't working or I felt guilty that I was working.
That was trial. That was a sort of like some kind of intellectual hazing that we went through.
I'm glad that's over. At the end of the show, I usually do some random questions. I've actually got something kind of prepared for you for once. I feel like the last 2 times you were on, I kind of dropped the ball. Definitely the first time. Nothing too crazy. I figured you and I like beer quite a bit. You and I met in Philadelphia. I thought we'd talk about some of our favorite Philadelphia area breweries and some of the beers that they put out.
Oh, man.
When you think of Philadelphia area breweries, what comes immediately to mind?
Travis, to be honest with you, man, I don't go out anymore.
Okay. I couldn't talk recent breweries. I looked up like Philadelphia breweries and it's all a bunch of shit that just in the 3 years since I moved, 3 years since I moved, there's like all this new shit I never even heard of. But I figured Yards, right? Yards is a big brewery.
Did they do anything with the Founders?
With Founders? Not. I don't think so.
No, not the Founders Brewery. Like, is it?
Oh, like the Founding Fathers. The Founders.
Yards do like that Washington Ale.
Yeah.
The Washington Ale.
That Jefferson Pine kind of ale.
The Franklin one is the Pine one. The Spruce. That's the Franklin one.
Okay, yeah, the Spruce. Yeah, that's
that Washington one is that really heavy port, and that Jefferson one is actually pretty good.
Yeah, the Washington one is supposedly his recipe. I don't know if that's true or not, but supposedly.
So lots of unpaid people made a lot of beer for Washington. Is that what you're saying? And it breaks my heart to say that I like the Jefferson Ale the best out of those because old Shawn is not the biggest fan as an historian of old TJ.
No, me neither. But it is the best out of those 3. That's for sure. What about Victory? What's the best Victory brew?
Victory's, that's some tough stuff right there. But the one that I'm most familiar with is the Golden Monkey.
Now that's their big seller, Triple Belgian, which I really feel like Philadelphians love because it has a lot of booze in it. Like, not because it tastes good, just because it's like a 9.5 ABV or whatever. I think the Dirt Wolf, their double IPA.
Oh, Dirt Wolf is danger. That's a mind eraser right there.
Yeah, but it's tasty.
I bought 2 6-packs of that once for a summer party. I went to a pool party. I was drinking Dirt Wolf like they were Corona.
Yeah, they're like 8% or something.
Yeah, I didn't last long. I was like, I gotta go home, everybody. Good Lord. I was at the same pool party, man. I was like 7 or 8 Dirt Wolves in like within at 60 minutes. And it was me and this guy that I know from DC, Chris Hughes, and we were sitting by the side of the pool drinking Dirt Wolf, like, I don't know, 4:30 p.m., howling like wolves, drinking this beer. That stuff was quick, man. It was quick.
It's a potent beverage.
And when you're like a dummy like I was that day, drinking them as if they were Coronas, they were going down easy, baby, but I was paying for it.
And then, of course, the big brewery from Pennsylvania is Yuengling. Is there anything that they make that you would put inside of your body?
Let me tell you what I think about Yuengling.
Tell us.
Yuengling tastes like, this is what it tastes like. The best Yuengling tastes like this to me. And for those of you listening, follow along. Your parents are dead. It's now up to you and your siblings to go to your parents' house and clean it out. So you go through this task of cleaning your parents' house, and you find under your old bed, in the room that they haven't changed very much, a can of beer. And you're like, you know what? I'm going to try this because it's been in my room. And it tastes exactly the way that you think that it would taste. That's Yuengling, man. No, I don't want to put Yuengling in my body.
No, me neither, man.
If it's between water and Yuengling, I'll stay sober, man. And that's a lot coming from an Irishman.
Yeah, Yuengling is terrible trash. They have like a Hershey's Porter that I could tolerate because it's basically just like drinking a chocolate drink. But it doesn't taste like beer, that's for sure. It tastes like some sort of weird chocolate carbonated beverage. And if that's as good as they get, I don't understand the draw. I don't understand what people like about that brewery, but maybe it's because they've been around for a long time. I don't know. But for my money, the best local brewery is it used to be around the corner from my house. Like, it was like a 3-minute walk from my house. It was called Twisted Gingers. It's still there. It's in Manayunk, Philadelphia. Definitely check that out if you're ever in the area. It is just like a tiny little hole in the wall kind of microbrewery where they make their own pizzas and their own beer, and it's just fucking great. And it was really awesome having a place right there next to my house.
We're in Michigan right now.
Hey, you're drinking Founders. I'm drinking a Boston beer, but and you're drinking Michigan beer.
Yes.
All right, man. Well, thank you for doing this with me again. I hope you come back on the show. There's a lot of other albums to talk about, but I think we talked about the one we probably love the most, at least from 92.
Oh, what a moment.
What a moment this is. Moment of forgetting. Yes, I agree.
A moment of bliss. That's what I started with. Oh, goodness. So, my God.
All right, man. Well, thank you again for doing this. It means a lot to me. Cheers.
Cheers, man. Thank you.
So that is me and Shawn just absolutely nerding out over that album, Us. What else can I say? It's a masterpiece. Awesome having Shawn back on. I'd love to have you on, listener, or maybe you have a friend or family member, somebody you know that you think would be a good fit. You are very welcome to come on the show. I'm always looking for new guests. Any album from the era, from 93, 94 is welcome. Shawn has been on a few times, so we kind of bend the rules. Once you've been on a few times, that's kind of how I play it. But any album from 93 or 94 that I haven't already done, you are welcome to come on and talk about. Perhaps you'd like to talk about the album EDC from 1994 from the band Satchel.
Listen to an angel sing. Listen to the joy it brings. Huddled underneath the cloud, I would just shout out loud. Why do I suffer so? Why do I want to go? And don't show me that disguise until you learn the meaning of trust.
The song Suffering, which is the closer on that album, and woo, it's a doozy. You may have heard it in some movie soundtracks and that kind of stuff before. Pretty great song. Doesn't have to be Satchel though, could be any song you want to do. Just email me at 9394podcast@gmail.com, or you could just email me to say hi or whatever. That's very welcome as well. And look, guys, I'm going to level with you. It has literally been over half a year since anyone has rated or reviewed the podcast. I hate to beg. This is the part of doing a podcast that I hate. But it really would be nice, not just because it makes me feel good to see that number go up. Sure, it's a little ego boost, but that's not why I'm asking. It really does help the podcast get new listeners and that kind of stuff, the more highly rated I am. So, if you could, I'd appreciate it. Write a little review, click a button that says 5 stars, that kind of thing. That would be cool. And that's it. That's all I ask of you. I will never ask you for money. I'll just ask for your time, which is maybe more. Yeah. Okay. I always sputter out at the end of these things. I just lean into it. Fuck it. I'm the guy that sputters out at the end of his podcast. Bye. '93-'94, a music podcast with Travis Roy, is a labor of love. It is not and never will be monetized. Please don't sue.